Talk about a time when someone showed you the grace of God.
I was newly unemployed, and I had been an absent member from church and just come back. And that Christmas, I was given a jar, and in the jar was what I thought was a small amount of money. It took me a while. It took me another 6 months or more before I really examined it, realized it was a substantial amount of money, and in a book called Christmas Jars. And I have no idea who it came from, but it was somebody from the church. It was in a beautiful gift bag set aside specifically for me. And it just touched me no end. And I did not spend that money. I just kept it in the jar, and I still have it. So it was on the kindness of either one sweet somebody's heart or many sweet somebody's hearts.
Well, I think here at the church especially, where someone or many people showed us the grace of God was when I lost my mom. It'll be 2 years ago. And I was so humbled at how the church had come together and helped us without even asking, be it meals that they served, mostly holding our hands, just counseling, sitting and talking with all of us, working it through, visits to the hospital. The outpouring just was beyond words of thanks and gratitude that we could ever have. So that was huge in my life and our lives, and meant the world to my mom as well.
Well, I moved a lot when I was a child because my father was in the military, and so I rarely stayed anywhere for longer than 3 years. And we moved to California when I was starting middle school. And, middle school's a difficult time anyway, but I went to church, to the chapel with my mother on a Sunday, and I was singing. I like to sing, and a woman in front of me said, you have a beautiful voice, you should join the choir. And she met me at choir rehearsal and introduced me to all the people in the choir, even though I was 13 years old and they were all adults. And that was a very important thing for me because it gave me a sense of belonging. And through that, I ended up becoming very active in the chapel youth group, which really changed my life, really set me on the right path, all because that woman was kind to me in church.
When I was little, the story I told in class was I had a heart condition, and I was assigned a pediatric cardiologist, Dr. Paul F. Dwan, and was very famous, it turned out later on. He has a building named after him, and I was little, and I finally had heart surgery when I was 17, but that was when I was from about 8 to 17, and then I had heart surgery, but I didn't see him all those years. So then later on, when I was working at University of Minnesota doing tissue culture work, I had my lab coat on, was going in an elevator. I was in my 30s. Many years later, all of a sudden I heard, "Patty!" And I turned around, and there was Dr. Dwan sitting in a wheelchair because I knew he had a heart condition. All those years later, he saw me as I was older and fine and healthy, and I ran over there. We were both crying, and we just hugged each other. It was a moment.
Where have you seen the grace of God at work in your life?
Well, when you go through a traumatic life event of losing someone you love more than life itself, it seems like, you notice things a little differently. And I would say having a child with special needs, I look at the beauty of who he is inside, accepting him for who he is, and the wonderment of what God's put inside and instilled in him. So seeing things through his eyes, I would say, is how I see the grace of God. Childlike behaviors, wonderment, especially when I say it, getting God's grace and God's love up north, when we can be in God's country and be out in nature and start to notice all of that and not take for granted any of it.
Well, being a pastor's wife, I really have to rely upon the grace of God because, every time we move to a new church, but I have to find a way to fit in every time we go. And I've learned in my old age, after doing this for 35 years, that when God chooses where we're supposed to go, God always finds an opening for me, always finds a place for me. But I really can, as I look back on our ministry together, John's and my ministry together, I truly can see the hand of God and the grace of God in every place we've been.
I see it every time when I work with these special needs kids in AIM. It's a very rewarding thing to see how you can help them and they can help you. It is unbelievable how much more you get back, and the grace of God being active in that, and the fact that our church has such a wonderful program for that.
Tell me about a time when someone helped you.
So once I was out catching Pokemon with my friend on Pokemon Go. It was actually Dean, and so I couldn't have my Wi-Fi, so he tried to help me, but it didn't actually work. So we were out a couple blocks down from my house because he was at my house for the day, and I had my dad's Wi-Fi source, but my iPad doesn't have Wi-Fi. So his phone did, so he tried to get his phone to have Wi-Fi, but then he didn't know how, so we spent probably around 15 minutes trying to do it. So he was trying to help me, but it still didn't work.
Tell me about a time when you helped someone.
So a time that I helped someone when it's kind of a long story. So when me and my friends were at the playground at my school, we were going on the swings and we were actually jumping off the swings. So one of my friends was too scared to, so I was encouraging him. And while encouraging him, I almost broke my leg jumping off. So but he ended up doing it. So he ended up having fun, and then we basically did that every recess after that.
How could you help someone today?
You can help someone today by going to your nearest pet shelter. My friend's dad owns a shelter for homeless people where they can get food and snacks and stuff. So you can donate there or just help out around your neighborhood.